Welcome everybody to our first ever gameplay highlight video. I guess this is going to be like an attempt at a series that I'm going to try to do where I play games off stream and sort of review them and look at the footage. So without further ado, I guess smash that subscribe button to get more of this content. We will be filming with higher quality next time as we learn more about all this editing process and stuff like that. So let's get started. Alright, so the beginning of the game is pretty much as simple as it can get. It's a carousel round, the draft phase, and you really just select more or less whatever you can get your hands on. If you can choose, you really want to kind of designate an item rather than or prioritize an item rather than a unit, at least in my opinion. So here I end up choosing Lulu with a recurve bow. In this game, I think I wanted to go assassins, but it ends up getting pretty crazy. You'll see here with Shen and Aatrox. So it's pretty simple here, you know. First 3 rounds are more or less rinse and repeat. We see a triple Kassadin here. We think about it for a sec. We're like, all right, screw it. Let's sell the Lulu, drop our cash on some Kassadin, and I think this Kassadin actually we ride him out pretty much the entirety of the game. So that's pretty cool. And in this scenario, we really just pick up anything we can get our hands on as well. Again, these 3 rounds are more or less rinse and repeat. You just buy whatever you can buy, see whatever, you know, the RNG lords can give you, and then you transition whatever you get from the first stage into the PvP stage, which is the stage 2. That's the first stage. So here, you can see that we've got our Kassadin, and we've got our night bonus as well as sort of a Kha'Zix going. We also see the Shen, which you'll notice pretty soon here. He's gonna get pretty crazy. So we start looking around at what everybody else is doing here. Just a quick glance, right? Nothing too special. Just a quick glance, realistically. And then we get back to our action. And notice how we're just keeping, realistically, our items more or less in reserve, I guess, until we kind of really solidify what our strategy is going to be. So in this scenario, we kind of pick up more or less an idea of what we want to do. So with that, we sort of go, okay, let's look and see, you know, what everybody's doing. Is our strategy going to get countered? Things like that. So I think we end up going with, if I do say so myself, where am I? Again, we will we will increase the quality, don't get me wrong here, but yeah, we end up going I think it was it was the armor for Phantom Dancer. Yeah, so I couldn't see it again. We're going to increase the quality, I promise. But yeah, so we end up going for the Phantom Dancer, and you'll see here in a little bit why we end up doing that. Mostly to counter assassins, but really anybody can crit, so it's pretty cool. It actually gives you, I think the crit percent is like 25%, so it gives you a 25% chance for everybody to just straight up miss you. So that's pretty good, especially on your frontline or tank unit. So with this, we're like, all right, we're gonna go Shen, we're gonna go tank, unless something crazy drops in front of us. That's our strategy. And that's really, by the end of stage 2, the first PvP stage, we really kind of want to have that situated, the strategy, by at least the end of it, maybe by the latest of like the middle of stage 3, but really the end of stage 2 is where you want to be at. So here you can see we're really just kind of filtering through the units. We're not doing too much, and we're at least trying to save a little bit of gold here. Really, we're looking for the Shen. The level 2 Shen is pretty important, especially if that's going to be our focus for this game. Is really just is grabbing the Shen and then figuring out what synergizes or what we want to synergize with the Shen. And in this case, we end up going Aatrox. I think we skipped the Aatrox here. I could be wrong. No, we actually make room for it by leveling up. So with this phase, we'll make a more specific video in the near future. But this phase is more or less pretty easy. You clump your units up over here. If there's an assassin, you put them over here. Oh, sorry, the mouse is. So yeah, if there's an assassin, you put him in this little corner. Everybody else is going to get clumped here. Typically, you're going to want to level up unless you're pretty confident with your team. So upon doing so, we make room for a and Aatrox, which will end up becoming a pretty influential part of our team. I'm pretty excited for that part of the video here. I'm honestly more excited about the Shen going off, but you know, both sides of the coin are pretty sweet. So this is just, you know, mundane, you know, PvP rounds. You know, you're gonna win some, you're gonna lose some, especially, you know, in the middle of the game when you're situating your strategy. You know, you're cycling through pieces. You shouldn't really focus on winning and losing every single round. You can see that we're still on the top here, which, you know, it doesn't really do any justice for us to be in the top, except, you know, we have more HP, I guess. We get last pick in the draft, but we do have more HP. So we're still saving our items here. We know we want to go Shen. We know we want to have him as our frontline tank. We have the Phantom Dancer on him, so at this point I go, okay, what is the best plan of action here? And I go, he can't be crit. You know, he has a 25% dodge chance against every regular unit, and then you know, what else would be good for him? And I'm like, okay, what about Dragon's Claw? So this is the strategy moving forward, and as I start to prepare my tank, my frontliner, for the ability to take a lot of damage here. You're gonna see that he's gonna start taking some serious damage, and then, you know, once we get our Shen situated, we can sort of split into our damage, which is gonna be Aatrox. Obviously, we're gonna keep Aatrox on the bench here. So this draft phase, we are last pick, so we kind of get the scraps here. But the benefit of going Dragon's Claws, Negatron Cloak really isn't a priority for a lot of players when they're picking from the draft. So I think we end up getting the Negatron Cloak here. I could be wrong. Yep, we end up getting the Negatron Cloak here, and then normally we wait until the last round in the stage, the NPC round, to see if we get any extra items to equip our items. But in this scenario, you know we want the Dragon's Claw. We want the Phantom Dancer, and now the next step is to just get him to be stage 2, right? So this is the perfect scenario here. We're like, all right, we got our Dragon's Claw, we got our Phantom Dancer. Now we need stage 2. We got him stage 2 here, and this is the best situation you could possibly have, right? You got 2 Cassidans, which are perfect for the early mid game. Cassidin's a great throw-in unit. He has no animation canceling ult. He has a really good attack animation. He drains mana. Like, he's an overall pretty solid unit prior to the end game. Like, end game he kind of falls off unless you can pop him to tier 3 and like stage 3, but honestly it's really not a focus compared to like the Shen and Aatrox that we'll see. So in this stage, the NPC stage, again, we'll make a whole video about all the different NPC stages, but really you're just putting your units in sort of like this slanted half triangular position unless you have multiple melee units. We have 4 here, so it's sort of like okay, we need to kind of chill, right? So we put them in sort of an L, I guess you could see right there, and then the wolves you'll see will jump. Multiple of them, again, we'll make a more specific video, will become useless for the time being that the frontline wolves are being attacked. Again, we probably shouldn't get bogged down with this strategy too much. So this is where everything sort of changes for us. Our strategy with Shen and Aatrox goes from, all right, this is pretty cool, to, okay, we got a pretty lucky Yasuo in the mid game, which is super powerful, especially the Blade Master. He fits right into our comp, and we sort of I don't think we realize it at first, so we sort of sit on it for a little while, and then I look down at 50 gold and I go, okay, I could get the interest. That's pretty good, 5 gold extra interest. And I go, wait a second here, Yasuo is a legendary, 0.5% chance to snag that legendary, and he's an exile, and he's a Blade Master. Perfect pick for our comp. Absolutely amazing situation here. So we go, okay, all right, let's just sort of create this little strategy where we can force our Shen to be the tank. Normally you'll see a lot of your ADC comps or assassin comps corner themselves to protect their ADC, to allow their assassins to jump safely, things like that. With a full melee comp, really, it doesn't matter where you put your units. You can spread them apart. It's really where your opponents are placing them. So if they're clumping, you know, you can pull them away from the clump by moving your units slightly farther. So that's why I chose a middle position, is both sides, right? They're going to unclump themselves, which is going to give us a lot of leeway, especially with Shen. So with multiple units attacking multiple units, Shen's going to give all of them that juicy dodge radius ultimate. So that's really what the strategy was with this positioning. And it ends up being pretty effective, I'd say. So again, we're just really sort of running through the motions, going through PvP rounds. Again, in the mid stages of the game, it's really going to be a win and loss. You know, we are doing really well with our HP, 75. We're at the top of the meter. We do get last pick here. And you can see, sorry, that was like a loading screen, but you can see briefly we looked at everybody's comps. It's just something you should do occasionally. Honestly, I should do it more this game. I'm by no means a perfect player. This is going to be more or less just like a practice, right? But it ends up being a pretty cool strategy. So this one we sort of, you know, we sort of take that 1v1 with Shen and Ashe, and it ends up being extremely powerful right there. The dodge, just dodging every shot, preventing any damage from the glacial or the Ashe ult. So we're like, all right, yeah. You can see we've equipped a Warmogs to our Shen. Absolutely insanity. These 3 items right here are crazy powerful on a tank, and you'll see why, you know, shortly. Right now we've got the ability to dodge all units for 25% chance. We've got attack speed, so that's really great to get the ultimate off. We've got magic resistance on a crazy scale, and we've also got HP regen as well as a lot of thick HP on top of all of that. So and we didn't even mention his ultimate. His ultimate is allowing everybody to dodge as well. It's gonna get crazy. Like, basically, he's a meat shield as well as a dodge aura for our real carry, which is Aatrox. So he's just this giant aura meat shieldy dude who's just giving everybody else the ability to do what they need to do. You can see right here, all of our units are just soaking damage from that cannon, and still Aatrox, this squishy guy, is still not able to die because of that Shen ult. He gave his life right there for that Aatrox to clean up. That's pretty good. So, you know, we're moving really close to the tier 3 Shen. You can see we got a tier 3 Aatrox. It's super easy to get a tier 3 Aatrox because nobody goes Aatrox. So if you're looking for a super easy tier 3 that's actually pretty good, Aatrox. Aatrox is there, and he's honestly super easy to get. Like, I see him nonstop, constantly. Nobody goes him. Nobody does it. So I think we actually end up losing here. And this was pretty surprising as well. We were like, holy moly, this guy's got a tanky Gnar, right? So we were like, all right, you know, we're not that scared of him, but at the same time, like, if it comes down to a 1v1 scenario, we might lose. So something we noticed, I think, at about this point is we have a pretty much a useless Warwick here. You can see that there's really no point for him. We have no brawlers, we have no wild. He's really just soaking a couple of extra hits for Shen at this point. So that's really our next strategy since we've got the tier 3 Kassadin. We're pretty close to a tier 3 Shen, and we've almost completed a tier 2 Yasuo. It's almost better to have those double Yasuo rather than the tier 2 here, just because we have no other units we need. I mean, they're both just shieldy dudes who can knock people up, right? But really our focus is getting that Warwick out and replacing it with something good. So our strategy is to pick up the Swain. Unfortunately, because we are position number 1 here, we get last pick in the draft. We lose out on our on our juicy Swain pick, which gives us the Imperial, and it also gives us some pretty juicy demon action. You know, we lose out on that, so it's no big deal. But we do need to figure out something to replace this Warwick with. So we start to tinker with some ideas. We actually pick up this Fiora for the potential of a 6 Blade Master comp. You can see we're running 4. It doesn't end up working out, but we really need that demon. That's the thing. We need the demon, right? So we pick up an Evelyn. We give it a round of an attempt, and it actually works out really well for the sole purpose of giving Aatrox and his loads of attack speed the ability to suck the mana away from the target, right? That's amazing. Draining mana is absolutely amazing regardless of the damage it does. Preventing someone from using their ultimate, especially someone like Sejuani, Karthus, you know, all of those really powerful legendary epic heroes are all super ult dependent, most of them at least. So preventing that is just going to be super game changing. And that's what it ends up being here towards the end of the game. You can see that I think at this point we're at a 1v1 now. Yep. So this is really about crunch time, right? This is a 1v1 scenario, so we can sort of tailor our strategy to directly counter the enemy and hopefully come out ahead. So that's really what we try to do here. You can see we start to position our units a little bit more forward and to the right instead of in the middle and back. And the difference is like we explained earlier, is when we put them in the middle and back, it's going to force either side of whatever corner they're sort of huddling in to spread out to fight us, right? And that is advantageous for us since we're basically pure melee. So once we move our little triangle into that top right corner, we're going to sort of surround them and give our Yasuos the ability to knock them up. That's really the focus here, is to give these Yasuos the maximum attempt or maximum potential, and then give Shen, allow Shen to give everybody that aura. So really the triangle is, I think, the most optimal position for our comp, really to protect our power heroes. So Shen, you can see that I actually wasn't able to counter their Zephyr. I'm gonna scoot back just a little bit here. Right here. You can see, I think I look right here. You can see I look, and I'm basically analyzing where their comp is positioned. That's really going to allow me to sort of, again, like I've said, tailor a strategy to counter them. So we can see the Zephyr on the Kindred in the back corner. So we sort of attempt to position our Evelyn, the most useless unit, specifically, however, an assassin, which jumps out of the Zephyr to counter it. We don't get the positioning right, which, you know, puts, I guess we do. I really don't know why it doesn't hit it. Moving forward, our Yasuo doesn't get the buff. That's fine, whatever. We do end up overall winning this match though, because we positioned our units a little bit differently, and the Evelyn was able to jump out. Realistically, it was the Shen and the Aatrox. Getting the demon buff at the end of the game allowed us to really power Aatrox's potential up, using his attack speeds, especially with the Blade Master buff, giving him those crazy auto attack, extra auto attack potentials. I think it's a 45% chance. It's insane, especially with the, like we just mentioned, the ability to drain mana. That's really why we put a level 1 Evelyn in the very end of the game. We ended up beating a guy with an additional unit on us, and really all of his units were tier 2, tier 3. We did end up picking a couple of tier 3s over him up, and that's really because nobody goes Shen, nobody goes Aatrox, right? So these are just easy units to pick up pretty much at any time. And they're honestly really, really good. Nobody thinks Shen's good until they start missing and dodging. Like, it's honestly an insane combo. I think you guys should give it a try. I hope you enjoyed the video highlight or the gameplay highlight. We're gonna be doing one of these hopefully every so often, make it a series. Again, the quality will get better, both from my commentating as well as the video quality. So stay tuned for that, guys. I really appreciate it. Thank you very much for stopping by, and we'll see you. Thank you very much for stopping by. If you enjoyed the content, feel free to check out my Twitter and Twitch at the Zelph. I stream daily at 3 p.m. Central Time, and don't forget to click subscribe and turn notifications on as well. Thank you very much.